The house was too quiet. That's what I kept thinking as I sat in the living room at 2 in the morning, staring at the wall where Sarah's favorite painting used to hang. The kids had taken it down after the funeral, said it made them too sad to look at it. I understood completely, but somehow the empty space felt worse, like the absence was louder than the presence had ever been, like the blank wall was screaming at me that she was gone and never coming back. My name is Michael Torres. I'm 47 years old. I've lived in this house for 19 years. And 3 weeks ago, I became a widower. Sarah died on a Tuesday. Collapsed at work, they said. Heart attack. Sudden. Completely unexpected. She was only 43 years old. No history of heart problems, no warning signs, no symptoms. 1 minute she was sitting at her desk, working late like she always did, answering emails and preparing reports. The next minute she was on the floor, security found her, called the paramedics, but it was too late. She was already gone. The funeral was yesterday. 200 people came. More than I expected. Friends from college we hadn't seen in years, neighbors we barely knew, colleagues from her work, family from out of state. The church was packed, standing room only. Everyone wanted to pay their respects to Sarah Torres, the woman who'd touched so many lives. Her boss, Edmund Vance, stood in the back of the church wearing a black suit that probably cost more than my car. He didn't speak to me during the service, didn't offer condolences at the reception, just watched everything with an expression I couldn't quite read, something between grief and guilt. Then he left before I could approach him, slipping out a side door while everyone else was eating. I'd always disliked Edmund Vance. Sarah had worked as his executive assistant for 6 years, and in all that time, he'd never once treated her like a human being. Just a tool, a resource, someone who existed to make his life easier. He called her at midnight with urgent requests, made her cancel family dinners to handle his emergencies, sent her on business trips with less than a day's notice, and Sarah went along with it because she said the job was important, the money was good, and we needed it for the kids' college funds. So I'd kept my mouth shut and let her work for a man I didn't trust. Let her sacrifice our family time for his convenience. Let her prioritize his needs over ours. And now she was dead, and I had to live with the fact that I'd never really fought for her to quit that job. The house was full of her things, her coffee mug in the kitchen sink, her reading glasses on the nightstand, her coat still hanging by the door, her shoes lined up in the closet, everything exactly where she'd left it, frozen in time, like she'd just stepped out for a moment and would be back any second. But she wasn't coming back, ever. And I had no idea how to tell our kids that their mother was really, truly gone forever. Emma was 16, Jake was 13. Both of them were upstairs in their rooms right now, probably not sleeping, probably crying quietly so I wouldn't hear. We'd been tiptoeing around each other since the funeral, nobody knowing what to say, everyone trying to be strong for everyone else. That's when my phone rang. Before we get into it, don't forget to like and subscribe, and hit hype to boost this episode. Drop a comment below with your city or country. I'm always curious where viewers are joining from. The sound was jarring in the silence. Loud. Intrusive. I almost didn't answer. It was 2:17 in the morning according to the clock on the wall. Nobody calls with good news at that hour, but something compelled me to look at the screen anyway. Caller ID, Edmund Vance. Her boss, the man who'd worked her to exhaustion, calling me in the middle of the night just hours after we'd buried her. I stared at the phone for 3 rings, debating whether to answer. Then curiosity won out. I swiped to accept the call. Hello? Mr. Torres. His voice was low, strained, urgent in a way I'd never heard before. I need you to come to my estate, right now, tonight, this very moment. What? Mr. Vance, it's after 2 in the morning. I just buried my wife. Whatever you need can surely wait until... No, it can't wait. I have something to show you, something about Sarah, something she left behind, something you need to see immediately. My chest tightened. What are you talking about? What did she leave? I can't explain over the phone. The line isn't secure. Please, Mr. Torres, this is critically important. Life or death important. You need to come here right now. Mr. Vance, I appreciate whatever you're trying to do, but I'm not driving 40 minutes to your estate in the middle of the night because your wife was murdered. The words hit me like a physical blow. I couldn't breathe for a moment. What did you just say? Sarah didn't die of natural causes. She was killed, murdered, and I have proof. But I can't give it to you over the phone, and I can't bring it to you. You have to come here, now, tonight. My mind was racing. This couldn't be real. The doctors had been clear. Heart attack, sudden cardiac arrest, natural causes. There was no evidence of foul play. Mr. Vance, the doctors said it was her heart. The doctors were wrong. Or more accurately, They were lied to. Please, Mr. Torres, I know this sounds insane. I know you have no reason to trust me, but I'm asking you to come here anyway, for Sarah, for the truth. Why should I believe you? Because if I wanted to hurt you, I'd have done it already. Because I have nothing to gain by lying to you, and because your wife spent the last year of her life risking everything to expose the people who killed her, the least you can do is come see what she died for. My hand was shaking. If this is some kind of sick joke, it's not. I swear on everything I have, this is real. But Mr. Torres... His voice dropped even lower, became almost a whisper. Don't tell your children where you're going. Don't tell anyone. Don't call anyone. Don't send any messages. If you do, all of you could be in danger. Serious danger. Do you understand? Danger? What kind of danger? What the hell is going on? I'll explain everything when you get here. Just come, please, and come alone. Tell no one. The line went dead. I sat there in the darkness of my living room, staring at my phone, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. What the hell was that about? Murdered? Danger? Sarah spending a year risking everything? None of it made sense. Sarah was an executive assistant. She answered phones and managed schedules and organized meetings. What could she possibly have been involved in that would get her killed? I should have ignored it. Should have assumed Vance was drunk, or having some kind of breakdown, or playing a cruel game. Should have gone upstairs and tried to sleep. But something in his voice stopped me. It wasn't just urgency, it was fear. Real, genuine fear. And if there was even a chance that Sarah had been murdered, if there was even a possibility that her death wasn't natural, I had to know. I had to find out what really happened. I grabbed my keys from the counter, pulled on my jacket, wrote a quick note for the kids in case they woke up. Couldn't sleep. Went for a drive. Back soon. Love you both. Then I walked out into the cold night air and got in my car. I had no idea I was driving toward the truth that would destroy everything I thought I knew about my wife. Edmund Vance's estate was 43 minutes outside the city, hidden behind 12-foot walls and iron gates and enough security to protect a small country. I'd never been there before, though Sarah had visited dozens of times over the years for meetings and events. She never talked about it much, just said it was impressive and cold and felt more like a fortress than a home. As I drove through the empty streets, I kept thinking about Sarah, about our life together, about whether I'd really known her at all. We'd met in college, both studying business administration at State. She was smart, ambitious, funny. I was a mediocre student more interested in sports than studying, but somehow we'd clicked. Started dating our junior year, married 2 years after graduation, had Emma 3 years later, then Jake 3 years after that. It had been a good life. Not perfect, but good. We'd had our struggles like any couple. Money was tight sometimes. Work was stressful, raising kids was exhausting. But we'd loved each other, supported each other, built a life together. Or so I'd thought. Now Vance was telling me she'd been living some kind of double life, risking everything, hiding secrets, getting herself killed. It didn't make sense. Sarah was careful, cautious. She checked the locks twice before bed and made the kids text when they arrived anywhere. She wasn't the type to take dangerous risks. Unless she'd changed. Unless the woman I'd been living with for the past few years wasn't the woman I'd married. The gates to Vance's estate appeared suddenly, rising out of the darkness like something from a movie. Tall, imposing, topped with security cameras that swiveled to track my car as I approached. The gates opened automatically before I could even stop, like they were expecting me, like I was being watched and identified and granted access. I drove through slowly, following the long curved driveway through perfectly manicured grounds. Even at night, I could see the care that went into maintaining this place. Every tree trimmed, every shrub shaped, every blade of grass cut to exactly the same height. The mansion itself was enormous. 3 stories of glass and steel and sharp modern angles that looked more like an art installation than a place where someone actually lived. Lights blazed from every window despite the hour, making the whole building glow like a beacon. I parked in the circular drive and sat there for a moment, my hands gripping the steering wheel. What was I doing? This was insane. Driving to a near stranger's house in the middle of the night because he claimed my wife was murdered, but I couldn't turn back now, not without knowing the truth. I got out of the car, walked to the massive front door, raised my hand to knock. The door opened before my knuckles touched wood. But it wasn't Edmund Vance standing there. It was Claire Donovan, Sarah's assistant. The young woman who'd worked directly under her for the past 2 years, handling schedules and correspondence and whatever else Sarah needed. I'd met her maybe half a dozen times at company events. Christmas parties, summer barbecues. She was always cheerful, energetic, perfectly professional. always had a smile and a kind word. The woman standing in front of me now looked nothing like that. Her face was pale, almost gray, like she hadn't seen sunlight in weeks. Dark circles under her eyes like she hadn't slept in days. Her hair, usually styled perfectly, hung limp and unwashed. Her hands were shaking as she gripped the door frame to steady herself. And there were bruises. Dark purple marks on her neck, partially hidden by the collar of her shirt, but visible when she moved. Recent bruises, maybe a day or two old. "Mr. Torres," she whispered, her voice hoarse and strained. "Thank God you came. I was afraid you wouldn't believe him. Claire, what are you doing here? What happened to your neck? Where's Vance?" She glanced over her shoulder nervously, like she was checking to make sure no one was listening. Then she pulled me inside quickly and closed the door behind us, engaging multiple locks. The entry hall was massive, all white marble and crystal chandeliers and modern art that probably cost more than my house. Everything gleaming and pristine and completely impersonal. "We need to talk before you see Mr. Vance," Claire said urgently, still whispering. "There are things you need to understand. Things about your wife, things about what happened to her." "Then tell me. What's going on? Why did Vance call me in the middle of the night? Why do you look like someone tried to strangle you?" Her hand instinctively went to her neck, touching the bruises. "Because someone did. 2 days ago. They wanted to know what Sarah told me, what evidence she'd collected, where she'd hidden it." "Evidence of what? What are you talking about?" "Your wife was investigating Edmund Vance, Mr. Torres. She was gathering proof that he and his company were involved in illegal activities, money laundering, corporate espionage, bribery. She was building a case to hand over to federal authorities." I stared at her. "That's impossible. Sarah was an assistant. She scheduled meetings and answered emails. She wasn't some kind of investigator." That's what everyone thought. That's what she wanted everyone to think. But she was so much more than that. She was brilliant, methodical. She saw patterns in the financial records that no one else noticed. She found connections that no one else could see, and she spent months collecting proof. Proof of what, exactly? Everything. Financial fraud, illegal pharmaceutical trials, bribing government officials. Mr. Vance's company wasn't just bending rules, they were breaking them systematically, and your wife documented all of it. Why? Why would she do that? Because she found out people were being hurt, people were dying, and she couldn't live with that knowledge and do nothing. My head was spinning. This couldn't be real. This couldn't be my Sarah, my wife who worried about the kids' homework and whether we needed milk from the store. Even if I believed you, which I don't, what does this have to do with her death? She had a heart attack. The doctors were clear. Claire's expression darkened. The doctors were wrong, or they were misled. Mr. Torres, your wife didn't die of natural causes. She was poisoned, murdered, to stop her from exposing what she'd found. That's insane. Who would kill her? Why? The same people who tried to kill me. The same people who are probably watching your house right now. The people who have everything to lose if Sarah's evidence comes to light. I felt cold suddenly, despite the warmth of the house. My kids. If what you're saying is true, if there really are dangerous people involved, your children are safe as long as they don't know anything, as long as you don't tell them what you're learning here tonight. That's why Mr. Vance told you to come alone. That's why you can't call anyone or message anyone. The more people who know, the more people are at risk. This is crazy. This is absolutely insane. I know how it sounds. I know you don't want to believe it. But it's true, all of it. And Mr. Vance has proof. He's waiting for you in his study. He'll show you everything. She led me through the mansion, down a wide hallway lined with expensive artwork. Everything was silent except for our footsteps echoing on the marble floor. The whole place felt like a museum. Beautiful, but dead. We reached a set of double doors at the end of the hall. Claire knocked softly. "Come in," a voice called from inside. Claire opened the doors and ushered me into what could only be described as a private library. Books lined the walls from floor to ceiling. Thousands of them. Probably more books than I'd read in my entire life. A massive mahogany desk dominated the center of the room, and behind that desk sat Edmund Vance. He looked older than I remembered from the funeral. Much older. He was in his mid-60s, I knew, but right now he looked closer to 80. His face was haggard, lined with deep creases. His hair, usually perfectly styled, was disheveled. His eyes were red and tired. He stood when I entered, but his movements were slow and pained. "Mr. Torres, thank you for coming. I know this must seem very strange." Strange doesn't begin to cover it. I want answers. Real answers. And I want them now. Of course. Please sit. I don't want to sit. I want you to tell me what the hell is going on. Claire says my wife was investigating you. Says she was murdered. Says I'm in danger. I want to know if any of that is true or if you're both insane. Vance's expression was grave. It's all true. Every word. Your wife was extraordinary, Mr. Torres. One of the most capable people I've ever known. And she died because she discovered things that powerful people wanted to keep hidden. Then show me this supposed evidence. He reached behind his desk and pulled out a large briefcase, set it on the desk and opened it. Inside were stacks of papers, photographs, USB drives, everything neatly organized in labeled folders. Your wife was investigating me for the FBI, Vance said simply. She'd been working with them for over a year, gathering evidence of crimes my company had committed, building a case that would send me to prison for the rest of my life. I felt like I'd been hit in the chest. What? She wasn't just my assistant, Mr. Torres. She was an informant, a witness, and she was very, very good at it. He pulled out a photograph and slid it across the desk. Sarah, sitting in a coffee shop, talking to a man in a dark suit. The photo was dated 6 months ago. That's Special Agent Thomas Reeves, FB. Your wife had been meeting with him regularly, passing him information, helping him build a case against me and my associates. I picked up the photo with shaking hands. It was definitely Sarah. I recognized the coffee shop. It was near her work. I recognized the jacket she was wearing. I'd given it to her for Christmas 2 years ago, but I'd never seen the man she was talking to, never heard his name, never had any idea my wife was meeting with federal agents. Why? I whispered. Why would she do this? Why would she risk everything? Because she discovered that my company was hurting people. Killing people, actually. And your wife had a conscience. Unlike me. What do you mean, killing people? Vance sat down heavily, like standing was taking too much effort. My company, Vance Industries, is involved in pharmaceutical development. We create new medications, run clinical trials, get drugs approved. That's the legitimate side. But there's another side. An illegal side? What kind of illegal side? We run unauthorized trials in developing countries, testing experimental drugs on people who don't understand what they're agreeing to, people who are desperate for medical care and will sign anything. We skip safety protocols to save time and money. We bribe regulators to get approvals faster, and when people die from our drugs, we cover it up. I felt sick. How many people? I don't know exactly. Hundreds, probably. Maybe more. We'd hide the deaths, attribute them to other causes, pay off families to stay quiet. Your wife found evidence of at least 50 deaths that we'd concealed. And she was going to expose you. Yes, she'd collected financial records showing the money laundering, communications showing the bribes, medical records showing the deaths. She had everything. Enough to shut down the company and put everyone involved in prison for decades. Then why are you telling me this? Why aren't you already in prison? Because your wife never got the chance to deliver the evidence. Someone found out what she was doing, someone who had even more to lose than I did. Claire spoke up from where she stood near the door. Marcus Hale, CEO of Hale Pharmaceuticals. He was Mr. Vance's partner in the illegal trials. And when he learned your wife was investigating, he ordered her killed. How do you know that? Vance opened another folder, pulled out what looked like medical documents. These are the real results of your wife's autopsy. Not the sanitized version you were given, the real one. I took the papers, read them. The medical terminology was dense, but certain words jumped out. Aconitine, cardiotoxic alkaloid, induced cardiac arrest. What is this? Your wife was poisoned, Mr. Torres. Someone gave her a substance called aconitine. It's derived from a plant called monkshood. In the right dose, it causes immediate cardiac arrest that looks exactly like a natural heart attack. Unless you're specifically testing for it, it's virtually undetectable. Who gave it to her? We have security footage. Would you like to see it? No. I didn't want to see it. I didn't want any of this to be real. I wanted to wake up and find out this was all a nightmare, but I needed to know the truth. Yes. Show me. Vance turned his computer monitor so I could see it, pulled up a video file. The footage was grainy, but clear enough. Sarah's office at Vance Industries. Date stamp showed it was 3 days before she died. On screen, Sarah was working at her desk, normal, alive. Then someone entered. A man in an expensive suit, dark hair, probably in his 40s. They talked for a moment. I couldn't hear the audio, but Sarah looked surprised to see him, maybe a little uncomfortable. Then the man handed her something, a bottle of water. Sarah took it, said something, probably thank you. Opened the bottle and drank. 30 seconds later, her expression changed, confused, concerned. She stood up from her desk, stumbled, grabbed the edge for support, then she collapsed. The man calmly picked up the water bottle, wiped it clean with a cloth, and walked out of the room. I watched my wife die, watched her final moments, watched a man murder her and walk away. Who is he? My voice didn't sound like my own. His name is Viktor Petrov. He's Marcus Hale's head of security, former Russian intelligence. He specializes in making problems disappear. Where is he now? We don't know. After he killed your wife, he vanished. Left the country, probably. Hale has resources, safe houses, multiple identities. Petrov could be anywhere. I couldn't tear my eyes away from the screen, from that moment when Sarah drank the poison, when her life ended. Why are you showing me this? What do you want from me? I want you to finish what your wife started, Vance said quietly. I want you to take her evidence to the FBI, help them build the case, put Marcus Hale in prison where he belongs. Why? If you're guilty too, why would you help? Because I'm dying, Mr. Torres. Pancreatic cancer, stage 4. I have maybe 3 months left. And I'd like to do one decent thing before I die. Your wife deserves justice. The people Hale killed deserve justice. And I deserve to burn in hell, but at least I can try to take him with me. I looked at this man who'd worked my wife to exhaustion, who'd been complicit in her murder, who was now trying to make amends. Where's the evidence? Where's everything she collected? He pulled out a small black USB drive from his desk drawer. Everything's on here. Financial records, communications, medical files, witness statements, video evidence. Everything needed to convict Marcus Hale and destroy his company. I reached for the drive, but he pulled it back. Before I give you this, you need to understand something. Once you take this, you become a target. Hale will know you have it. He'll come after you. He'll threaten you. He might even try to kill you like he killed your wife. I don't care. But your children should care. They'll be in danger too. Hale has no conscience, no limits. If he thinks hurting your kids will make you give up the evidence, he'll do it. I thought about Emma and Jake, sleeping at home, unaware that their lives were about to be turned upside down. What choice do I have? Let my wife's killer walk free? No. But you need to be smart. FBI will put you in protective custody. Your kids, too. You'll have to disappear for a while. Change your lives completely. For how long? Until Hale is arrested and convicted. Months, probably. Maybe longer. I thought about it for exactly 3 seconds. I'll do it. Whatever it takes. Vance handed me the USB drive. Such a small thing. But it represented a year of my wife's life. Her courage, her sacrifice. There's one more thing, Claire said quietly. She pulled out her phone and showed me something. A text message from an unknown number sent just 2 hours ago. We know you have Sarah Torres' evidence. Destroy it and disappear, or we'll kill her family, starting with the children. My blood turned to ice. They're threatening my kids? They're bluffing, Vance said quickly. They don't know for sure that you have anything. They're just trying to scare you. How do you know they're bluffing? I don't, but FBI agents are being dispatched to your house right now. They'll protect your children. Get them to a safe location. You called the FBI without asking me? I had to. There wasn't time. Reeves is coordinating everything. Your kids will be picked up within the hour. Suddenly, alarms started blaring throughout the mansion. Loud. Piercing. Red lights flashing in the hallways. Claire's face went white. They're here. Who's here? I shouted over the noise. Hale's people. They must have followed you. They must have been watching. Vance was already moving, faster than I thought a dying man could move. He grabbed my arm and pulled me toward a bookshelf on the far wall. There's a way out. A tunnel system built during the Cold War. It leads to the forest about a mile from here. Claire knows the way. What about you? I'll slow them down. Buy you time. Now go. He pressed something on the bookshelf and it swung open smoothly, revealing a narrow stone passage behind it. Lights flickered on automatically. Go, Vance shouted again. Claire grabbed my hand and pulled me into the passage. As the bookshelf swung closed behind us, I heard gunshots. Multiple gunshots. And then we were running into the darkness. The tunnel was narrow and dark, the walls rough stone that scraped my shoulders when I got too close. Claire led the way with a flashlight she'd grabbed from somewhere, the beam bouncing wildly as we ran. Behind us, I could hear sounds. Shouts. More gunshots. The sounds were muffled by distance and stone, but they were getting closer. How far? I gasped, my lungs already burning. 1/2 mile, maybe less. There's an exit hidden in the forest. We have a vehicle waiting. You planned for this? We've been planning since your wife died. We knew they'd come eventually. We just didn't know when. The tunnel branched into 3 directions. Claire didn't hesitate, taking the middle path without slowing down. She'd clearly practiced this route. Is Vance dead? I asked. Probably. He knew the risks. He chose to make a stand. We kept running. My legs burned, my chest ached, but I didn't stop. Couldn't stop, because Sarah had died for what was on that USB drive in my pocket, and I wasn't going to let her sacrifice be meaningless. The tunnel sloped upward now. The air smelled fresher. We were getting close to the surface. Almost there, Claire panted. Behind us, the sounds were definitely closer. Footsteps echoing. Voices shouting in Russian. "They're in the tunnel," I said. "I know. We just need 60 more seconds." The tunnel opened into a larger chamber with multiple exits. Claire pulled me toward a metal ladder mounted to the wall. "Up. It comes out in a maintenance shed. From there, it's about 100 yards to the tree line." I climbed as fast as I could. The metal rungs were cold and slick under my hands. At the top was a heavy metal hatch. I pushed it open and cool night air rushed in. We emerged into a small shed filled with lawn equipment. Through the single grimy window, I could see trees in the distance. "Come on!" Claire was already at the door. We burst out of the shed and ran. The forest was dark, thick with undergrowth. Branches whipped my face. Roots tried to trip me, but we kept moving. Behind us, I heard the shed door bang open. Shouts in Russian, then gunfire. Bullets hit trees around us. Bark exploded. Leaves rained down. "Don't stop!" Claire screamed. I saw it then. A black SUV, barely visible in the darkness, parked on what looked like a service road. We ran harder. My lungs felt like they were on fire. My legs were rubber. 50 yards, 40, 30. More gunfire. Something hit a tree next to my head, showering me with splinters. 20 yards. 10. We reached the SUV. Claire threw open the passenger door and shoved me inside, then ran around to the driver's side. The engine was already running. She threw it into drive and floored it before I even had my door closed. Behind us, figures emerged from the trees. I saw muzzle flashes, heard bullets hitting the vehicle. The rear window shattered. But we were moving. Fast. Away from the estate. Away from the gunmen. Claire drove like a professional, taking turns at insane speeds, running red lights, weaving through empty streets. After 10 minutes of this, she finally slowed down. "Did we lose them?" I asked, trying to catch my breath. "For now. But they have resources. They'll keep looking. We need to get you to the FBI immediately." "Where are we going?" "Safe house, about 30 minutes from here. Agent Reeves is waiting. We'll hand over the evidence, get your kids into protective custody, and start building the case." I looked down at my hands. They were shaking. Everything was shaking. I'd just watched a man die, been shot at, run for my life through a forest. This couldn't be real. This couldn't be my life. "Tell me about Marcus Hale," I said, needing to focus on something. "Who is he really?" Claire kept her eyes on the road, constantly checking mirrors. "On paper, he's a legitimate businessman, CEO of one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world. Billionaire, philanthropist, sits on charity boards, donates to politicians. And in reality, he's a monster. His company runs illegal drug trials in Africa and Southeast Asia, tests experimental medications on vulnerable populations, people who don't understand what they're signing up for, people desperate for medical care who'll agree to anything. And when people die, he covers it up, bribes local officials, pays off families, makes the bodies disappear. Your wife found evidence of at least 73 deaths that were directly attributable to Hale's illegal trials. 73 people who died so he could skip safety protocols and get drugs to market faster." My stomach churned. And Vance was helping him? Vance was laundering the money. Hale would funnel profits from the illegal trials through shell companies, and Vance would make it look legitimate. Your wife figured out the scheme when she noticed irregularities in the financial records. That's what started her investigation. How did Hale find out she was investigating? We're not sure. There might be a leak in the FBI, or someone at Vance's company might have tipped him off. All we know is that 3 weeks ago, your wife received a threat, a message telling her to stop or her family would be killed. She never told me. She was trying to protect you. She thought if you didn't know, you'd be safe. She was planning to finish collecting evidence and then disappear with you and the kids. Witness protection, new identities, new lives. But she didn't make it that far. No. Hale moved faster than she expected. We drove in silence for a while. I thought about Sarah, living with that threat. Knowing someone wanted her dead. Knowing her family was in danger. And facing it alone because she thought it would keep us safe. "I should have noticed something was wrong," I said. "Should have seen that she was scared. That she was carrying this burden. She was very good at hiding it. That's what made her such an effective investigator. She could compartmentalize. Keep her fear separate from her work. What about you? How did you get involved? Claire's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Your wife recruited me, told me what she'd found, asked if I wanted to help. I said yes. I thought I was doing the right thing. The bruises on your neck. 2 days ago, a man came to my apartment. Russian accent. He asked me questions about Sarah, what she'd told me, where she'd hidden evidence. When I wouldn't answer, he tried to make me answer. But you got away. Barely. A neighbor heard me screaming and called the police. The man ran before they arrived, but he made it clear that he'd find me again if I didn't cooperate. So you came here, to Vance. He's the only one with enough resources to protect me, and he felt guilty about what happened to your wife. He wanted to help. Is he really dying? Yes. Pancreatic cancer. The doctors gave him 3 months, but I think it's less than that. He looks worse every day. We pulled off the highway onto a smaller road, then onto a dirt track that wound through dense woods. Finally, we stopped in front of a small cabin, barely visible among the trees. A single light burned in one window. We're here, Claire said. She got out. I followed, my legs unsteady. The cabin door opened and a man stepped out. Mid-40s, dark suit despite the hour. FBI badge clipped to his belt. Mr. Torres, he said, extending his hand. I'm Special Agent Thomas Reeves. I'm so sorry for your loss. I shook his hand mechanically. You knew my wife. I did. She was one of the bravest people I've ever worked with. What she did, the risks she took, most trained agents wouldn't have attempted it. She's dead because of it. She's dead because Marcus Hale is a psychopath who eliminates anyone who threatens him. But with what she collected, with what she died protecting, we can finally stop him. I pulled out the USB drive and handed it to him. This is what she died for. He took it carefully, reverently. Thank you. I know how hard this must be. What happens now? We go inside. I review the evidence. Then I make arrangements to protect your family. By morning, Hale will know we have this. He'll come after you with everything he has. We need to move fast. We went inside. The cabin was small, but professionally equipped. Computers, communication gear, maps covering the walls. This was a real FBI operation. Reeves plugged in the drive and started pulling up files. His expression grew darker as he read, his jaw tightening. Jesus Christ, he whispered. She really did get everything. Financial records, wire transfers, communication logs, video evidence of the illegal trials, medical records of the deaths. This is even more comprehensive than I hoped. Is it enough to convict Hale? It's enough to convict him 20 times over. The problem is keeping you and your family alive long enough for this to matter. My kids are being picked up by agents right now. They'll be brought here within the hour. Then we'll move all of you to a secure federal facility. My phone buzzed. I pulled it out. Text from Emma. Dad, where are you? FBI agents are at the house saying we have to go with them. What's happening? My hands shook as I typed back, do what they say. I'll explain everything soon. I love you. Reeves looked at his own phone and frowned. We have a problem. What? My agents can't get into your neighborhood. There's been an accident. A truck jackknifed across the main road. Complete blockage. They're trying to find an alternate route, but... Claire's face went pale. That's not an accident. That's Hale's people. They're blocking access to get to the kids first. No. The word came out strangled. No, we have to... Reeves was already on his radio. All units, we have a potential hostile situation at 2847 Maple Drive. Suspect wants access to 2 juveniles. Consider all approaches dangerous. Request immediate tactical response. He turned to me. Your kids know to lock the doors and not open them for anyone, right? Yes, but then they're safer inside than trying to run. My team will get there. They will protect your children. How long? 20 minutes, maybe less if we're lucky. 20 minutes. Emma and Jake alone in the house with killers outside. I have to go there. I have to protect them. Mr. Torres, if you go there, you'll die, and Hale will get the evidence. Your wife's death will have meant nothing. He was right. I knew he was right. But every instinct screamed at me to get to my kids. They're going to be okay, Claire said softly. Your house has good locks, multiple deadbolts, alarm system. The kids are smart enough to stay inside and wait for help. My phone rang. Emma. Dad? Her voice was terrified. There are people outside, men with guns. They're trying to get in. Emma, listen to me very carefully. I tried to keep my voice calm, even though my heart was racing. Where are you right now? Where's Jake? We're in the bathroom upstairs, the one with no windows. Jake's with me. We locked the door. Dad, what's happening? Who are those men? They're bad people, but they can't get in. The house is secure. You're safe as long as you stay exactly where you are. They're breaking the windows. I can hear glass breaking. Reeves was on his radio, barking orders. All units converge on 2847 Maple Drive. Suspects are breaching the residence. Deadly force is authorized. Emma, I said, fighting to keep the panic out of my voice. The FBI is coming. They'll be there in just a few minutes. But you need to stay in that bathroom. Don't come out no matter what you hear. Understand? I'm scared. I know, sweetheart, but you're going to be okay. You and Jake are going to be fine. Just stay where you are and don't make any noise. Dad, they're in the house. I can hear them downstairs. My legs almost gave out. Reeves caught my arm, steadying me. Keep her on the phone, he said quietly. Keep her calm. Into his radio. How far out are we? A crackling response. 7 minutes. 7 minutes. An eternity. Emma, listen to me. They don't know you're in the bathroom. They're looking for something else. Just stay quiet and they'll leave. What are they looking for? It doesn't matter. Just stay quiet. I could hear sounds through the phone now. Heavy footsteps, things being knocked over, men's voices speaking in Russian. Claire was at another computer, pulling up what looked like a security feed. I'm hacking into your home security system. If it's still online, we might be able to see what's happening. The screen flickered to life. Multiple camera angles of my house. I saw 2 men on the first floor systematically searching, overturning furniture, opening cabinets, looking for something, looking for the USB drive they thought I might have hidden. A 3rd man was on the stairs, heading up. Emma, someone's coming upstairs. Don't make a sound, not a single sound. Through the phone, I heard Jake whisper, Dad? Jake, it's okay. Just stay quiet. Both of you. The FBI is almost there. On the security feed, the man reached the top of the stairs, started checking rooms, opened doors, looked inside. He was 3 doors away from the bathroom. 2 doors, 1 door. My hand was gripping the phone so hard I thought it might break. The man stopped outside the bathroom door, tried the handle. It was locked. He called something to his companions downstairs. One of them responded. Then he raised his foot and kicked the door. Once, twice. Dad! Emma screamed. Run! Both of you run! Now! On the feed, I saw Emma and Jake burst out of the bathroom just as the door splintered. They ran down the hallway. The man lunged after them. Emma shoved Jake toward the stairs. Go! Get out! Jake ran. The man grabbed Emma's arm. Get off her! I was screaming into the phone. Get your hands off my daughter. Then something happened that I didn't expect. Emma, my 16-year-old daughter, who'd never been in a fight in her life, twisted around and kneed the man in the groin with everything she had. He dropped, gasping. Emma ran. On the security feed, I saw both kids running down the stairs. Saw the 2 men on the first floor moving to intercept them. Saw my children trapped. Then the front door exploded inward. FBI agents poured into the house, tactical gear, rifles raised. Federal agents, on the ground, now! Gunfire erupted. I couldn't see details through the chaos on the feed, but I saw Emma and Jake drop to the floor, covering their heads. Saw agents moving through the house with military precision. Saw the Russian men trying to fight back. It was over in seconds. Emma, Jake, are you there? Dad, Emma's voice sobbing. Dad, the FBI is here. They got them. They got the bad guys. I sank into a chair, my entire body shaking. Are you hurt? Is Jake hurt? No. We're okay. We're scared, but we're okay. An agent's voice came on the line. Mr. Torres, this is Special Agent Martinez. Your children are safe. We're securing the scene now. We'll be transporting them to your location shortly. Thank you. Thank you so much. 3 suspects in custody. 1 down. House is clear. Your kids showed a lot of courage, sir. I couldn't speak. Could barely breathe. Just sat there holding the phone, listening to Emma and Jake talking to the agents, and slowly realized we'd all just come within seconds of dying. Reeves put a hand on my shoulder. They're okay. Your kids are safe. For how long? Hale will just send more people. He won't stop. Which is why we're moving now. Tactical team is bringing your kids here. Then we're all going to a federal facility. High security, 24-hour protection. Hale won't be able to touch you there. How long do we have to live like that? 48 hours. Maybe less. We're executing arrest warrants at dawn, hitting Hale's company, his home, his associates' offices, simultaneous raids. We'll have him in custody by noon tomorrow. You're sure? I've been building this case for 18 months, Mr. Torres. Your wife gave us the final pieces we needed. Marcus Hale is going to prison for the rest of his life. An hour later, Emma and Jake arrived at the safe house. They ran to me and we held each other, all 3 of us crying. I'm so sorry, I kept saying. I'm so sorry you had to go through that. What's happening, Dad? Jake asked. Why are people trying to hurt us? Because your mother discovered something that bad people wanted to keep hidden. Mom was investigating criminals? Emma asked. Yes, for over a year. She was helping the FBI build a case. Why didn't she tell us? To protect us. She thought if we didn't know, we'd be safe. But she died, Jake said quietly. Yes, she died protecting us, and protecting the evidence that's going to put these people in prison. I told them everything. About Vance, about Hale, about the illegal drug trials and the murders and the conspiracy, about their mother's courage and sacrifice. When I finished, Emma was crying again. Mom was a hero. Yes, she was. Reeves gave us half an hour together, then agents took the kids to a secure room to sleep. They'd been through enough trauma for one night. Claire approached me with a cup of coffee. Your family is incredibly brave. They shouldn't have had to be. No, but they were. Emma especially. That move she pulled, kneeing that man, that saved her and her brother. Where did she learn that? Probably from her mother. Sarah took self-defense classes. Did you know that? I hadn't known. Another secret she'd kept. Reeves came over. Mr. Torres, you should try to get some rest. We've got a long day tomorrow. I can't sleep, not after everything. I understand, but you need to try. The next few days are going to be intense. He was right, but I couldn't imagine sleeping. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Sarah drinking that poisoned water, saw her collapsing, saw my kids running from armed men. Instead, I sat at one of the computers and asked Reeves to show me everything Sarah had collected, every file, every piece of evidence. For the next 3 hours, I read through my wife's investigation, saw the meticulous notes she'd kept, the photographs she'd taken, the recordings she'd made of incriminating conversations. She'd documented everything, every illegal trial, every bribe, every death. She'd built an ironclad case that would destroy Marcus Hale and everyone who'd worked with him. And she'd done it all while maintaining the appearance of being a simple executive assistant, coming home every night and kissing me and the kids and never letting on that she was living a double life. She was extraordinary, Reeves said, sitting down beside me. In 18 years with the Bureau, I've never worked with a more dedicated witness. Why didn't you protect her better? Why didn't you keep her safe? We tried. We offered her witness protection, offered to relocate her family immediately. She refused, said she needed to finish collecting evidence first, said she couldn't disappear until she had everything. So she died for this. She died knowing she'd done something meaningful, knowing she'd saved lives by stopping Hale. That matters, Mr. Torres. Maybe it did, but it didn't bring her back. At 5 a.m., Reeves got the call. The raids were launching, multiple teams hitting targets simultaneously across 3 states. We watched on monitors as federal agents stormed Hale's mansion, his company headquarters, the homes of his top executives. Marcus Hale was arrested in his bedroom at 5:47 a.m., still in silk pajamas, looking shocked and outraged. By 9 a.m., 15 people were in custody. By noon, that number had grown to 23. The evidence was overwhelming. The arrests were splashed across every news channel. Pharmaceutical CEO arrested in murder-for-hire scheme. Illegal drug trials exposed. FBI breaks up medical research conspiracy. Sarah's name wasn't mentioned in the reports. Reeves said they were keeping her involvement classified to protect our family, but I knew the truth. She'd done this. She'd brought down an empire of corruption and saved countless lives. What happens now? I asked. Now you testify. Grand jury first. Then trial if Hale's stupid enough not to take a plea deal. When? Grand jury is in 2 weeks. Trial, if there is one, could be 6 months out. And we just hide until then? You stay in protective custody until we're confident the threat is neutralized. Could be a few weeks. Could be a few months. Depends on how fast Hale's organization falls apart. It took 3 weeks. 3 weeks of living in a secure facility with armed guards and limited contact with the outside world. But slowly the case came together. Hale's associates started turning on each other, cutting deals, providing testimony. The conspiracy unraveled. Viktor Petrov, the man who'd poisoned Sarah, was captured in Estonia trying to board a flight to Russia, extradited back to the U.S., charged with murder. Edmund Vance survived the gunfight at his mansion. Barely. He'd been shot twice, but lived long enough to give a deposition confirming everything Sarah had discovered. He died 3 weeks after the arrests. Cancer, in the end. But he'd lived long enough to see Hale arrested. The grand jury indicted Marcus Hale on 17 counts of murder, 43 counts of reckless endangerment, multiple counts of fraud, bribery, money laundering, and conspiracy. He tried to fight it, hired the most expensive lawyers money could buy. But the evidence was overwhelming. On advice of counsel, he eventually took a plea deal. Life in prison without possibility of parole in exchange for not facing the possibility of multiple life sentences. Viktor Petrov went to trial and was convicted of first-degree murder. He'd poisoned Sarah. The jury deliberated for 4 hours, sentenced him to life without parole. 6 months after Sarah's death, justice was finally served. The FBI released us from protective custody. We went home, or tried to. Our house had been sold. Too many bad memories, too much trauma. We bought a new place across town, started over. Emma started seeing a therapist. So did Jake, so did I. We were all dealing with trauma in our own ways. 1 year after Sarah's death, we held a memorial service. Proper this time. Agent Reeves came, so did Claire, so did dozens of people whose lives Sarah had saved by stopping Hale's illegal trials. A mother from Kenya who'd almost enrolled her daughter in one of Hale's drug trials. A father from Thailand whose son had died in a trial years earlier. A doctor from India who'd reported Hale's company but been ignored. They all came to thank Sarah, to honor her memory. "Your wife was a hero," they told me, over and over. And they were right. She was. Emma gave a speech at the memorial, talked about her mother's courage, her sacrifice, her dedication to doing what was right even when it was dangerous. "My mom could have stayed silent," Emma said. Could have kept her head down and stayed safe. But that wasn't who she was. She saw people being hurt, and she had to act. She had to stop it, and she did. She saved hundreds of lives, maybe thousands. And I'll spend the rest of my life trying to be half as brave as she was. I was so proud of my daughter in that moment. Proud of both my kids. They'd survived trauma that would have broken many adults, and they were using it to become stronger. After the service, Agent Reeves pulled me aside. "There's something you should know," he said. "Your wife left something for you. She recorded a video message the week before she died. Asked me to give it to you if anything happened to her. I thought you should have it now." He handed me a USB drive, different from the one with the evidence. This one was labeled simply, "For Michael and the kids." That night, after Emma and Jake went to bed, I sat in my office and played the video. Sarah appeared on screen. She looked tired, but determined. This had been recorded in her office at Vance Industries. Late at night, probably after everyone else had left. "Hi, Michael. Hi, Emma. Hi, Jake. If you're watching this, then I'm gone. And I'm so sorry. I know you're angry. I know you feel betrayed that I kept secrets. But I need you to understand why. About a year ago, I discovered that the company I worked for was involved in something terrible. They were testing dangerous drugs on vulnerable people in poor countries. People who didn't understand what they were signing up for. People who just wanted medical care for themselves or their families. And people were dying. Dozens of people. Maybe hundreds. All so that a pharmaceutical company could skip safety steps and get drugs to market faster. When I found out, I couldn't look away. I couldn't pretend I didn't know. I had to do something. So I started collecting evidence, working with the FBI, building a case. And I got close. So close to stopping them. But they found out. They threatened to hurt you if I didn't stop. Threatened to kill you. I couldn't let that happen. So I told the FBI I was done. That I couldn't help them anymore. But I kept copies of everything I'd collected. Because I knew even if I stopped, they'd probably kill me anyway. And I wanted my death to mean something. Michael, I'm sorry I couldn't tell you what I was doing. I'm sorry I shut you out. But I was trying to protect you and the kids. Everything I did for our family. Emma, Jake, be kind to your dad. He's going to blame himself for not protecting me. But this wasn't his fault. This was my choice. My decision. And I'd make it again. I love you all more than anything. More than life itself. And I'm sorry I couldn't stay with you longer. But please don't let my death be meaningless. Take the evidence I collected. Give it to the FBI. Finish what I started. Put these people in prison where they belong. And then live your lives. Be happy. Find joy. Don't let what happened to me make you afraid to stand up for what's right. The world needs people who are willing to fight for justice even when it's hard. Even when it's scary. Even when it costs them everything. Be those people. For me, I love you forever. Mom. The video ended. I sat there crying, watching the screen go black, wishing more than anything that I could tell her one more time that I loved her, that I was proud of her, that she'd been everything I'd ever wanted in a partner and more. But she was gone, and all I could do was honor her memory, Teach our kids to be as brave and selfless as she'd been. Make sure her sacrifice was never forgotten. A year later, the Sarah Torres Foundation was established, funded by the settlements we'd received from Hale's company and Vance Industries, dedicated to protecting whistleblowers and supporting people who expose corporate corruption. Emma works there now, after graduating early and getting her degree in criminal justice. She wants to be an FBI agent, wants to follow in her mother's footsteps. Jake is still in high school, but he's already talking about law school, wants to prosecute white-collar criminals, both of them carrying on their mother's legacy. As for me, I speak at conferences now, tell Sarah's story, encourage people to stand up against injustice even when it's dangerous. Because that's what Sarah did. She saw evil and refused to look away. She fought for people who couldn't fight for themselves. And she died making the world a better place. She was a hero, my hero, and I'll make sure the world never forgets her name.